Welcome to the show, the Cinema Night Podcast, where we talk about movies from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 70s.
We talked about it.
We've ever done a movie from this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We did that. Yeah. But we skipped the 60s and the 70s.
70s.
I don't think we've done a. Yeah. We're due for a 70s movie. Anyways, I'm Michael Govier. That's Travis Roy, Eric Brancham, Cinema 9 Podcast at ProtonMail.com. Cinema 9 Pod today focuses on 1995's Clockers. An outstanding film or not? I don't know. We'll find out. Either way, we're going to find out if it holds up or not. That's our main course today. Travis Roy, Cinema 9 Podcast. How you feeling these days?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm back to work, which is, that's good. And but I'm kind of out of the, getting out of the mindset of hang around watching movies and getting more in the mindset of back to life, back to reality.
Smoke my weed.
That's right. That's right. Smoke your
You
weed.
think? Remember when Kanye West started that church thing for a minute, like Sunday prayer sessions, and he was on live? It was like
didn't work out,
but he would just play that song on repeat. That's all it was. It's like you're not doing anything new here. That was one of the sessions, which is just that song, his own version of it for hours.
I didn't attend any sessions, but when I think moral bastion, I think Kanye West.
Cornerstone. I hope he runs for president in 2024. I'll vote for him. Why not? So.
Yeah, well, I mean, life is a fiasco. Let's just vote for biggest bozo.
Oh, it'd be cool if Lupe Fiasco ran for president. I would run for him. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd vote for him. Chicago's own, right, Eric?
He might be on the ticket.
Eric, Griffith, Indiana, but you're not far from Chicago. Did you make it up to Lollapalooza last weekend?
I drove through it. I wasn't blown away by the lineup, but I was, I was thinking about going. But
who was on the lineup? I saw maybe the
Foo
Chili
Fighters.
Peppers. Are they always there?
Journey with like the new singer from like a cover band. It was a kind of.
Well, they've been doing that for years, though. I mean, that's.
Yeah, but Lollapalooza.
It's the Brazilian dude, right?
Portuguese. But
shit! But they do speak Portuguese in Brazil, so that's what I think that's what I was doing there.
I don't know. I mean,
do they not speak? Is that not the main language of Brazil? Am I wrong?
Oh, it absolutely is. I'm just trying to figure out how that relates to Journey.
Well,
because
I missed a step somewhere.
Out of like a mall that could sing like
the guy,
Perry, and he was
the
Portuguese.
guy.
He just be in the band.
I don't know. Is that common knowledge that the guy they plucked from the mall to sing for Journey is Portuguese?
Yeah. Well, he was.
I had no fucking clue.
It was general knowledge.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't Steve Perry. I do know that.
Run in different circles.
But he's been doing that for a while. Yeah, for years.
Yeah, like 20 years or more. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Good for him.
Been some time since he was plucked.
Yeah, I don't have no interest in seeing Journey. Like,
yeah,
remember in 2002? Like in 2002, I was big into. Journey. 2002 was good quality Journey time for me, but by 2008 or 9, it had jumped the shark, and I'm just like, I don't want to hear any more Journey.
I love Journey, but like Steve Perry is Journey. So
Absolutely.
If it's not Steve Perry, that's like no Axl Rose. Like
exactly.
What's the point?
I love Journey still. My love has not faded, but I'm not going to see Creedence Clearwater revisited either. I don't care I'm not an AC/DC fan, so I didn't care when they replaced the guy that sounded just like another guy. Like I don't care. But and also that was like halfway through their career, so it's a little different.
They got like one dude that plays rhythm guitar for like a week in like the late 70s for him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but generally speaking, I'm not interested in a band that just like has some replacement singer that like just like I don't know, you can't replace them. Even Steely Dan's coming to town. I'm kind of like I don't know.
Sense to me. But no, I'm good.
Fagan's still alive, so.
And he's the singer, and that does matter most to me.
Yeah.
I'll go see Steely Dan. Who am I kidding?
Yeah,
I've seen it before, but with Walter. But yeah,
I'm lone man. My wife is up in beautiful, drop dead gorgeous Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, on like some work outing. So
did you stay home for the show, by the way?
I'm here, aren't I?
Oh my God!
Why not? Why couldn't you take the stuff with you? And Mike and I both have broadcast from.
It was a day trip for her. I'm here with my daughter, so like I got like her monitor, so like I just got to make sure that like she's like breathing and stuff. So if I pop out, I'll be back. No big.
It's always cool when your child is breathing.
Yeah,
I'll be back. Hey, maybe you should say that on the show. I'll be back because it's a movie show. That'd be fun.
Why not, dude?
Oh yeah, let's pepper more movie references. Perhaps some drops.
Yeah.
I got a bunch, but
I knew that would fade. That's okay.
You guys don't like this. No, I would do it. You guys don't like it, so I'm
That's
trying to
not
respect
true.
you guys. So.
They
Really?
grow on me. I mean,
That's the vibe I got when I started it. I honestly felt that way. Yeah, so I was
The
trying to
only-
respect you guys.
No,
so.
the only complaint, as far as I remember, the only complaint any of us had was like maybe vary the drop so you don't hear the same quote 5 or 6 times in one show. That was the only complaint I think any of us made.
Oh, well, then I'll reconsider my position. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
by all means,
I got
drop
a
it
world.
many.
Got like 800, but I can only use 64 at a time. That's the only setback. But that's
drop it
still
like it's
plenty
hot.
for one show. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yay!
Hey!
Woo! Look at this.
Oh, yay!
Hey! Yeah, what else I got? I haven't used it in a while. We always have this one. Travis loves that one.
ooh, controversial.
Wait, what about me?
Yeah.
Is that the when Travis says something drop?
No, I got this
And
one.
reason will prevail. Reason will prevail.
That's not from a movie though. So, anyways, I'm sure I got some more movie ones I'll have to dig up. Oh, here's a movie one. Eric likes this one.
What did you have? A few drinks this morning? Huh?
Well, you never
I think you did.
Mother
didn't you?
Teresa?
Mother Teresa.
Dude, Mike Starr, speaking of
Big
which.
star, yeah.
That's up.
By the
King
way,
Clockers.
a Mike Starr. Yeah. By the way, I feel like Travis chose this movie Clockers, which we will review later, because it has Mike Starr, Delroy Lindo, and
Keith David.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
And
So.
Michael Badalucco. Doofus cop at the very end.
And like a hot second of Badalucco action. Yeah.
By the way, I do like Journey, so I don't want to. I just got.
Set the
It just had to
record.
go away for a while. It had to go away for a while. So.
Okay.
Yeah, especially,
Separate ways.
but I'll never like Don't Stop Believing ever again. So
I mean, they
That's over.
wore it out. Like, I mean, a little
yeah, that's the main one. But
bit.
you
Once
know,
the
Lights,
Sopranos episode happened. It was like, yeah,
Wheels in the
Lights.
Sky. That's
Dude,
fun.
there's a lot of great
I'm
stuff.
in.
That it.
But Lollapalooza seemed kind of bland to me. It also seemed like maybe a bad time to go still. I know we're getting better. People are getting healthier.
Yeah.
I've been to
What?
2 Lollapaloozas. 2.
Yeah, okay.
That was in 08 and 09. Back-to-back years. And I never went out again. I didn't. It's very crowded.
Yeah.
And there's
That's a
porta
problem.
potties. And I'm just not feeling it. I don't know.
No. I mean, I went to like 1 or 2 fests and like they're not for me, dude. Like sea of people, too hot. Like I don't like standing on fucking concrete for a day. It's not for me.
I don't know. I might go to Riot Fest. We got Faith No More, Coheed, NoFX, Smashing Pumpkins. Like that lineup is off the charts.
Yeah,
Well-
the lineups are always like, ooh, but then I'm
Sexy.
like, $150 to stand in the heat all fucking day around a bunch of strangers. That's we get down to it. I'm just too grumpy for that.
I'm grumpy. I will say the 08 Lollapalooza, seeing Rage Against the Machine, the year that Obama, he got elected later that year, and like everybody hated Bush so much by then. That was intense, and that was super cool. That's a special moment where you're like part of something. But the rest of the experience, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Saw the Toadies. Who cares? Okay, I saw the Toadies.
I mean, I love going to shows and then big shows,
Yeah,
but like
that's different.
I can endure it for no matter how much I love it. But after like 5 bands or so, I'm like, I'm about done here. So like a day fest, I'm down for a day fest. I don't want to do
Oh,
anything
yeah.
on that person.
There should be more Day Fest. That'd be cool. Yeah, if it's a singular day, I'm totally in. I like that idea. We did one day of Riot Fest in Denver in 2013, and that was cool. It was like, okay, we did one day and we went home. That was it. And,
Yeah.
minus the bear played. It was where me and Christian made fun of it because Christian was with me on that trip. And shout out to Christian, who did our logo, by the way, very solid American. And the Minus the Bear singer was just like hungover or just like on tour for too long. So every time I see Christian, we talk Minus the Bear inevitably. What have you done? What have you done? What have you done? Yeah, there's a song by
Jesus.
Minus the Bear. Go, what have you done?
He wasn't
But
hitting it that night, huh?
He was not hitting it in that hot. This is like east side Denver or beyond Denver, so it's like the flat grounds of Colorado. It's not as mountainous. It's very dry and hot, and it was hellish. Anyways, this is not a movie. Wait, this is a movie show. Yeah, that's right. This
Indeed,
is
it is.
not a music festival review pod. This is the Cinema Night podcast, and we're going to get into quarantine viewing picks. Travis Roy, you all have control of the board.
I watched some movies. You had recommended to me a while ago, Mike, to check out Black Hat. Am I right? You liked this movie, the Michael Mann film?
I kind of did, yeah. It was better than the first time I saw it. That's for sure. So,
Okay.
yeah, I did say that.
Yeah, you did. Okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it, but I did find it like meandering and kind of like, it's still going. Like, definitely like having like it's fun. I was amazed that what's his name, Elliot Goldenthal, I think his name is, that did Heat. But Atticus Ross and some other fellows are doing this one. But like other than that, in a lot of ways, it just feels like a lot of Heat stuff kind of revisited, like warmed over, not in the way that Collateral was, where it was like a director dipping into his toolbox, but more like in a way that kind of felt like someone that had gotten used to like playing the same solo really well, kind of to bring it back into music. So I wasn't really into it. I didn't hate it though, but it was okay.
The first time I saw it, I feel exactly like you feel, but the second time when I watched it 5 years later, that was the review I gave you, the post kind of 5 year later review. I liked it a lot more. So maybe watch it in 5 years and see if it changes.
Yeah. Remind me on episode 500 to rewatch Black Hat.
I will. I'm going to make a guarantee here on episode 670. This episode 70?
Yeah, we're on episode 70. Wow.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. So episode 600, whatever the fuck. I watched The Hollow, pretty decent kind of like this Irish horror film from 2015. It takes a lot of Irish folklore and spins it into a really effective horror movie. I thought it was pretty good, pretty creepy, kind of gross, but not too bad. I would recommend that one. My Nicolas Cage movie for the week was a good one. It was The Trust from 2016 with him and I'm blanking on his name. The Hobbit. What's the Hobbit's name? I'm a fan of the man. I just can't think of his name. Right now. Elijah Wood. Thank you. Fine little film between the two of them. Well directed, good score. Kind of a different story. Like it's about like these two, like they're cops, but they're like the property manager cops. They're not like real cops, and they kind of like figure some information out to pull off a heist, and things kind of like build in tension between the two of them. It was pretty good. Nicolas Cage. I'm a fan, but I will happily acknowledge that like out of every 5 movies he does, 4 they're for me, they're not for everybody else. This is one for everybody else. Like I think anyone would like The Trust. It was pretty good. I watched The River's Edge at your guys' suggestion.
Oh man, yeah.
Wow. Nihilistic as fuck. Just bleak. Just bleak. And I find it amazing it came out the same year as Stand By Me. I'm sure I'm not the first person to make that observation, but I don't know, man. It was bleak. I did enjoy it. I could definitely, especially for being from 1986. Like, I mean, it kind of reminded me of Blood Simple in some ways, where like, not necessarily going to blow away a viewer today, but you can think of it like by the terms of independent film in its era. Like, woof, if I had come across this then, I would be very heavily invested in it. But it was worth seeing, definitely. I watched Baby Boom, this horror movie with Diane Keaton, where she's suddenly has this child thrust upon her that she has to.
Is Aaron here? Aaron, are you in the chat? Because me and Aaron, I watched it at Aaron's house a couple years ago.
You watched Baby Boom with him? Two men hanging out watching Baby Boom together. Kind of, that's great. That's beautiful.
Maybe he wasn't home, but it was at his house for sure. I definitely remember it because I turned it off after about 40 minutes, which is a long time to last on that particular film.
Oh, I made it the whole 2 hours. I love my Diane Keaton.
I do too, but fuck, man, come on.
That one, it paid off by the end, but it was some work. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, I got to the part where she moves away to a new little town and she opens up a store. Is that real?
Yeah, that really happens. And there's a lot more movie after that. There's a Baby Boom TV show that didn't really take off, but I can see why. Like, this is like a very lengthy story about this woman that it just goes on and on about like, it's like, here, watch this 10 years of this woman's life, but it's really only like a year.
Oh, can I say something real quick?
Oh, of course.
River's Edge. I'm sorry. I just wanted to go back to that.
Go ahead.
So you're saying you didn't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
You thought it was a solid film making, obviously, and acting and all that crap, but it's a tough watch. Is that what you're kind of implying?
Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it is a bleak film. Like, you're like the way that these characters are dealing with what they're coming across is like pretty. It's not like, oh, I feel great about humanity while I watch this movie. Like, it's like life is cheap in this film.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
but maybe if it hadn't been about what it's about, I'm not going to say the act, so I don't want to ruin it for people. Well, but maybe it's been like a lesser offense. It would have been more reason, like, oh, I could buy this a little bit more. And because to me, I thought it was like, wow, these kind of kids exist. And this is the type of shit that happens in teenage years because people don't want to look uncool, especially in the 80s. I could kind of see that. But maybe if it was a less extreme offense, it would have been more real.
Yeah, I think that I didn't know this until after I watched the movie, but it doesn't help that you know, it's based on a true story. It's based on an actual thing that happened, and that's just kind of like we just kind of had this whole Amanda Knox thing going through the news cycle, talking about the movie Stillwater and like how real life is used in film, and that, you know, like you get that often. So like it's not like it's a weird subject, but even before I knew that, it's just really bleak. I don't know how else to put it. Like it
is bleak. I'll give you that.
I mean,
it's
like,
also weirdly funny at times. I just thought that Crispin Glover like weirdly made me laugh a few times, even though he's just such a bozo in that movie.
You know, I'm gonna make a controversial statement here. I thought he was pretty fucking terrible in that movie.
Oh,
I know people like live and breathe Crispin Glover, but I just thought he was just so overboard, man. Like fucking Christopher Walken, man, rein it in a little bit. I actually thought Keanu Reeves was fantastic in it, and really kind of like, because he kind of like got offered some shit for a while, and people kind of didn't take him seriously. But I think he showed early on that he's got some seriously good acting chops. I thought he was great in it, but Crispin Glover, man, like fucking. Bring it down about 40%. You got yourself a really great.
Come on, Mike. You just nailed that. You just did the Crispin Glover in River's Edge to a T, by the way. That if you've not seen River's Edge, folks, Travis just nailed it. It was very impressive.
Thank you. So, I mean, yeah. So worth seeing, but I think I would have liked it a lot more if I saw it in 1986.
Fair enough. I'd like to see it in high school when I was 16 and see how I felt about it too. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, it's definitely worth watching. I watched this movie called Romance and Cigarettes. You guys ever hear of this movie, Romance and Cigarettes, from 2005? Let me bring this up real quick. I should have had this ready. I didn't. This movie is directed by John Turturro, and it's starring James Gandolfini. It also has Susan Sarandon, Kate Winslet, Steve Buscemi, Bobby Cannavale, Mandy Moore, Mary Louise Parker, Aida Turturro, Christopher Walken. This movie has a huge fucking cast, and it's a musical. I'd never heard of this thing in my life.
Wow.
It reminded me kind of Search and Destroy, another kind of inventive and weird film that Christopher Walken and John Turturro did together. Very much like only, I mean, it's very like clearly like, hey, we're not even going to try and make money on this thing. We are just artists. We are actors going to kind of experiment with film a little bit here and like play with, I mean, you have like, I mean, Aida Turturro is 2 years older than was 2 years older than James Gandolfini and is playing one of his daughters, for instance. Like there's not a lot of logic going on in the film, but like it was fun. It's a fun movie. Like if you like James Gandolfini, if you like, you know, these actors I just mentioned, and the idea of them, it's not like a regular kind of musical. Like they are singing, but mostly it's like they're singing along with like a kind of famous song. So it's not like you have like decent vocals, even though like frankly James Gandolfini can't sing or couldn't.
What? Bobby Cannavale, by the way, was in the Jesus Rolls. Was it better than that?
Yeah, I haven't seen Jesus Rolls, but it kind of made me want to watch it. I've heard enough terrible things about Jesus Rolls. I mean, John Turturro is such an out there kind of director. Just again, very artsy fartsy, but worth seeing if you're a fan of these guys. And I'll wrap this up. I actually discovered a filmmaker I really like. This guy named Noah Bushell. He did a movie from 2014 I watched called Glass Chin, which I wrote a review on Instagram about, if you want to dig in deeper to that. I liked that film enough to watch the film that Bushell did a couple years before that, also with Marin Ireland and an actor named Paul Sparks, this two-hander called Sparrow's Dance, almost like a play. It's a romance about an agoraphobic and the plumber that she has to kind of like let into her building, into her home. And again, like this filmmaker, Noah Bushell, like really, really good dialogue and like brave directing choices, not like overtly like hitting you over the head about it, where it's like, oh, like this is exhausting, but like just both the movies that I've watched of his now, like he just makes these choices that are like, this is not what every director would do, and I really, really like it. I'm gonna watch more of this guy's stuff. I recommend both those films, Glass Chin and Sparrow's Dance.
His latest is The Phenom. Look at this cast: Paul Giamatti and Ethan Hawke.
His latest is Man in the Woods from 2020. Yeah, but,
Okay.
but I was looking for Phenom with Ethan Hawke as well. Yeah, but it's not streaming.
Mike, who is Rick Ankiel? This true story from this Major League Baseball star.
Oh, no shit.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, he's a guy who developed what is known as the yips. You know,
yeah. I know about that from Ted Lasso.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you're not supposed to say the yips according to Ted Lasso, but this Rick Ankiel was an amazing player. Real quick, I'll keep it brief. And he was awesome. He was a pitcher, and he was in the playoffs. And he was a phenom. He was 20 years old. Everyone loved him. And then all of a sudden, the next year, he could just not throw a strike anymore. He was a pitcher. He could not put it for the plate, and he lost everything. Real like that. So I'm gonna check that out. Then that sounds like something I would definitely like. And you said it's good. So, or you say he's a good director.
Yeah, so. He's definitely a good writer director. He's someone I'm gonna watch all of his stuff. Frankly, I was really blown away by both of the films of his that I watched.
Woohoo! That sounds awesome.
That is so fetch.
Eric, are you going to finish Weekend at Burton's, or what have you been watching recently?
No, I haven't seen Weekend at Bernie's in 30 years.
Mike, no, Burton's! Come on, Weekend at Burton's!
That was a pre-show joke. The listeners didn't hear that.
My God. You know what? It's been kind of a light week for me. A lot of Ghost Hunters. But, I watched the Woodstock. Oh, my God. I watched that Woodstock 99 doc. And, my God, you guys.
Travis, do you remember we went to spring break at Becky Hepke's uncle's house, and I just got caught mid drink and I just spit all over everybody. I did it a couple times. He just got me, Eric. That was funny. I'm sorry, Eric. Okay, you watch Woodstock 99. Okay.
Yeah. Just such a terrible idea. Like, I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, yeah, I'm chuckling and I'm feeling bad for a lot of these people, but I'm sitting there thinking well, who's responsible? And it's like, it's like you're right. It's just everyone. It's
society.
Like, how did that? There it is. Bing. How did this happen? And I'm sitting there oh yeah, you get 100,000 people together. This is going to happen today. And then they're talking about, Coachella still going on. And I'm like, you're right. This is just severe mismanagement across the board, on every single level, but good doc, man.
Yeah.
You liked
really
it.
Good.
Yeah. I really dug it.
I'm going to talk more about that on my separate pod because we kind of keep it brief here. We don't really extrapolate for an hour because that's not the show. It's not the kind of show we have here. But on my other pod, the Is It Safe pod, I really want to talk more about that because so many angles that they bring into it. And you can blame the mayor. You can bring the mayor. You could blame the two dudes, Lang and
the promoter,
Michael Schur, the other guy. Yeah, you could. You're right. You could blame a lot.
Blame
everybody.
The rioters themselves. I mean, there's
no, not the rioters. Never blame the rioters though.
The security guards just walked off.
Oh yeah, who traded favors for sex? What class act, guys?
Peace Patrol, bro. But it's a series. Is this a series by Bill Simmons, Mike? Is there going to be more episodes or different controversial
Music Box? I believe it's called.
Shit. Yeah,
five more. I don't know when they're coming out or how, but he did. I'll say this: they did Andre the Giant one, which I liked, and they did this one. So I think there's a decent track record brewing here
for sure.
Yeah. Watched a great documentary from 2000, Dark Days. I thought it was fucking fantastic. So Mark Singer's the director. It chronicles a group of people living in this abandoned section of the New York subway system, the Freedom Tunnel. And it's just a really interesting look at the homeless and the state of this group of people who are just living in this fucking abandoned tunnel. Like on the grid, they got power and everything until eventually Amtrak kind of sweeps them on out of there. But for a long time, 15, 20 years, these people, they call them colloquially mole people, but they were down there and they were living their lives. And this documentarian goes in there, lives with them for a few years. He shot it throughout the 90s. And if you're interested, it's on Tubi. I very highly recommend it. I thought it was really interesting, called Dark Days. But yeah, just 2 films this week. One of them, Travis, was Pig. I rented it on demand. As soon as I saw your message that it was available, I stopped what I was doing and turned it on.
I figured you'd watch it. I'm really eager to hear your thoughts. But no spoilers. No spoilers.
I have access to it, and I almost clicked it last night, but I didn't.
You want to go in?
I'll watch it this next week.
Go in cold. Don't go in with any expectations about what you think it might be, the genre it might be, what it might pretend to do. I got to tell you, and I'm going to be completely honest here. I let the film wash over me, and I had to sit with it like throughout the day. I didn't know what I thought about it. Like everyone's saying they're coming out of the theater like, oh, this is so fucking unbelievable. I knew I was watching a really good piece of art, but I just didn't know what to think about it. And I didn't want to jump to conclusions and be like, this is a complete masterpiece. But it sat with me. And I'm going to have to probably end up renting it again in the next few days because I can't stop thinking about it. I've never seen a film like it. Like a lot of people are calling it this, I'll say this much, kind of an anti-revenge film. And I think that speaks volume from my standpoint, in my opinion. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this is definitely something to see because it's unlike anything I've watched in a while, and a beautiful performance by Alex Wolff and Nick Cage.
I loved it very much.
I got into an argument at softball last Sunday about
Over
what kind of
Nick
movie.
Cage?
Well, yeah,
I'd fight over Nick Cage any day.
Well, it's kind of Nick Cage. It's more about a movie he did. Yeah, Mandy. We were arguing about what kind of movie it was because I accidentally said it was a horror movie, and they're like, "No, it's not." This guy yelled at me, and
I'm a huge horror fan, a huge Mandy fan. I would define it as a horror movie.
Yes. Oh, great.
See,
Thank you.
I might call it a comedy. So there's a lot of different viewpoints on that film, and on this one in
Horror
particular,
drama,
check it
like
out.
a horror drama.
I mean, there's a lot of laughs too.
But at least horror is one of the
man.
dashes
In my
the
opinion.
hyphens.
Yeah. I mean, there's fucking like a lot of crazy stuff, but
Yeah, you got bikers from hell in this movie.
biker mice from Mars. Yeah, it's fucking insane, dude. But yeah, I mean, I just can't stop thinking about it, Travis.
Big, yeah.
One of those thinkers.
I mean,
That's it. You guys can't say anything else.
yeah. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's move.
I'm gonna watch it. I promise for next week. I'm making.
I don't want to talk about it for anybody. I don't want to talk about it with anybody until it's been out for like a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know?
a couple of years. God damn it.
I just
Well,
don't
then
wanna
we'll take it
spoil
offline. Then
I don't want to spoil it for anybody because I know like the more I talk about it, the more I feel like I will raise people's expectations for it. And I don't want to do that.
You do realize it's possible. There's other people who've seen Pig who want to talk about it, maybe who watch our show too.
I have no control
We could put
over
a
that.
big spoiler alert. So we could.
I recommend it. I mean, I'll tell you that. I definitely recommend it.
You guys are both strongly recommending it, so I'll at least watch it this weekend, and I'll say that I at least watched it by next Thursday.
Oh Christ!
That's
you know
my,
what, man?
OVA guarantee.
Fuck.
Alliteration. You love it.
A few months ago, I watched that Woody Allen doc, and I did a blood vow in my living room to never again watch a Woody Allen film.
Which held up for a couple of months.
I broke it. I broke the vow. Flipping through Amazon, and I see this movie. I don't remember hearing anything about. Irrational Man, Joaquin Phoenix, Parker Posey. I saw Parker Posey's name on the screen, and I immediately hit play. Vow be damned. Emma Stone. I loved it. I loved it so much. It might be one of my top 3 favorite Woody Allen movies. I loved it so much. So what else can I say? I tried to keep the vow going. I still don't have much respect. I don't have any respect for this man as a human being. Any. But as a
Breaking news.
But I love the film. And that's all I can say. I got to be honest with myself.
I gotta know, were you guys spying or at least audio spying? Did you have one of those trackers or apps where you could turn on someone's microphone from anywhere? Because that's what we also talked about the Woody Allen doc at the softball game. It's so strange.
What the fuck are you talking about, brother?
I am clearly not playing. I spent a lot of time on the bench for that game, and so we had to talk about a lot of stuff. So we talked movies and we talked about the Woody Allen doc. And a guy brought up an interesting article that he read in the Guardian that actually brought a new viewpoint about the doc itself and Mia Farrow's motives. Okay. It's interesting. It was actually. I'm not going to replay it for you here, but if you want to read it, check it out. Make your own judgments. I did find it somewhat curious. It wasn't me who brought it up. It was the guy I was talking to.
Oh, well, if it's just some guy. Lots of people are saying. Lots of people are saying.
Some people are saying that, somebody wrote something. That's all I got for you.
Very compelling argument you're making here, Mike.
Somebody wrote an article.
Should be a lawyer.
Genius, genius, genius. Clarence Darrow over here.
I'm making a note of each drop I'm using so I don't use it again. Yeah. Okay, so just like you, pretty limited. I knocked out season 1 and 2 of Detroiters. I never saw Detroiters.
I've never even heard of it.
I like
God damn it!
Quite a bit.
Yeah,
it's good, isn't it?
It was fantastic. I wish I'd watched it sooner. I kind of was like, oh, it looks dumb. They don't know Detroit. Like I know more than they do. I was totally. They had so many references. I won't say them, but it's mind-boggling. I swear to God, it's like if we all sat down and we went on YouTube, looked at all of our favorite old commercials from growing up and shit from here, and we made a show about it. It's mind-blowing. It's so Detroit-centric. There's so many Detroit companies and everything. It's crazy.
Well, it is called Detroiters, so I guess it.
Yeah, but some people use it as like, okay, this is where we're at. And then
Detroit Rock City was filmed in Toronto. Never forget.
Exactly. I've said this before. Four Brothers was also filmed in Hamilton, in Ontario. So that fact that they really made an effort here, I was surprised, and it was also quite funny. So it's a funny show, and also his new effort, Tim Robinson's. I Think You Should Leave is getting a lot of positive feedback. He also did that. So if you're into Tim Robinson, check it out. And Sam Richardson. I actually think Sam Richardson is much funnier than Tim Robinson when I started watching the show. So that's my opinion. And I'm allowed to have that. As far as movies, though, it's pretty slow. But I did, and I've never seen this movie before. I fired up the Criterion channel here, and I'm going to get into some weird places for the next couple of weeks, probably.
That's cool.
But I never saw... I love Michael Mann, but I never saw Manhunter. I love Bill Peterson.
You never
I
saw
love
Manhunter,
Bill
man?
Peterson.
Wow. What'd you think?
I never actually watched it. I
so
heard
weird.
about it, and I probably faked it at a party in 2006. Like, oh yeah, I remember that one. You know,
That's specific.
I definitely did that. Well, I'm just being honest.
Mike, you're not going to believe this. I watched 10 minutes of Manhunter today before time got away from me. So there might be something weird going on here.
No shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep, I'm dead serious.
Do you have the Criterion channel, or do you just have a copy?
I own it on DVD. I love the film.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Tom Noonan.
Tom Noonan, man.
I'm Noonan.
Fucking Tom Noonan.
But Bill
It's all
Peterson,
right.
this is like Dennis Farina's like first chance to act too, I believe.
Yeah, he was really good in it.
Yeah, it's just I love Bill Peterson so much. That's why I love Fear. Fear's not a great movie, but I love William Peterson. Like something about him. I never watched CSI. I know he made his nut on that show.
I mean, I'm laughing because we're talking about actor William Peterson, who all three of us in our entire core group of friends have all been a big fan of since the 90s, which is so weird to the point that growing up, because he's in the HBO remake of 12 Angry Men, and how many times have we said, hey, let's run up the flagpole and see if anybody salutes. Licks it up. I mean, I've said these quotes a million times because it's so weird enough. Our friend group just fucking loves William Peterson. Couldn't tell you that.
I wasn't that familiar with that. Wow, that's funny.
Just you, my friend.
I don't talk about it all the time, but it just reminded me how much I enjoy his work.
It's funny.
So, what about his face? I like looking at his face. His eyes are intense.
Affable Midwestern face.
I like the Manhunter credits though. They're like very green and 80s. It's cool. It's weird. It's off-putting in a way when the movie starts, and it's a great score too. It's classic 80s.
I hate that score so much.
I can see why you hate it, but I love
everyone
it.
disagrees with me. I know.
Oh, everyone disagrees.
Oh yeah, people love the score. I'm in the minority camp on that one, I think.
I thought it might not have aged well necessarily for some people, but that's good to know. Anyways, I'm really glad I watched it. I strongly recommend it. The one I have to see is the one that Eric watched still, and that's Thief. I got to find Thief, and I got to watch that one. So I think that would complete the man, basically all of his movies, I believe. But I've actually didn't watch Mohicans before we did Mohicans, so I'm finishing out the man catalog. But other than that, I didn't get a chance to sit down and chomp on any movies. Really, I don't believe. So I was in Georgia last week too. If you saw the show last week, that was. Sorry if there's any bogus audio from that. I did my best.
I thought you did great. It was, and your nephew's very adorable.
He's intense. He's an intense dude. He's very passionate about life, and that's a good thing. Good for him.
Is it right in the family by any chance?
No.
A dull and placid people are the Goviers.
Docile people. Don't have much to say.
Lackluster.
Yeah,
Lackluster bunch.
Heartless, hopeless, dickless.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, well, there it is. Quarantine viewing picks. I got to stop watching TV shows. I got to start watching more movies. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm letting you guys down. But that's okay.
What TV shows were you watching?
Movies, so.
What TV shows were you watching?
Like I said, remember the week before, I watched all the league stuff. So I've been doing a lot more TV shows recently. I got to get back to movies. But with this Criterion access I now have, I'm going to be getting weird with it. I'm going to take myself in new directions. I'm actually kind of excited about it because I just watched Manhunter last night and got the access. So I'm excited.
Right on.
A lot of stuff in there. I've heard the titles, but I've never seen. So
time to put them under your belt.
Yeah, I like to be. I want to try new things. I will say this: I did start watching American movie, but I stopped it. I just wasn't in the mood for it.
Dude, watch it. I fucking love American.
Oh no,
I'm not even gonna say it because you're not gonna believe it. But I was just thinking about it.
I believe you. I generally have a
night.
belief in what you
I
say.
was literally just thinking about it last night when I was searching for something.
Oh
for
yeah,
week, but
Coven.
fucking really fun movie.
Coven sounds like Coven.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that movie. Yeah.
Cool movie.
It was like I just watched it for 10 minutes. I'm like, I just don't feel like watching this right now. But I'll give it another shot.
It was quite the sensation when it came out.
I remember that.
To the point that it was like kind of annoying, like, oh, I'm at another party where someone's making a fucking joke about American movie, but like, it was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny. Okay,
It's worth seeing. Yeah,
Wisconsinites, they're people too.
I mean, it was
All
funny in '99. I don't know how much it's gonna hold up now.
Sounds like a show. Alrighty. Well, speaking of the show, it's time to adjust your YouTube sets or wherever you're watching this. You could be listening on all podcast formats. 5 stars is welcome on Apple Podcasts. It is still the only way to rate the show, as far as I know. And we would love that. It's nice. It makes us feel good. We like to connect. We like movies. If you missed last week's show, you can go back and listen to that. We did They Live, and we had a very special guest on. Special guest on. That's what I just did. You're paying for? You're paying for? Eric's gonna be so pissed when we do Freddy Got Fingered. It's gonna happen one day. Yeah. I hope it's a listener's. I hope we play a game of selection and it gets selected. That'd be even funnier. But Donnie Richmond was on the show last week, and he has his own show, the All American Spook Show.
All American Spook Show.
He's a very nice fellow. He tweeted at me about fantasy football this week, and then he didn't follow up. I'm not really sure what that was about. But Donnie, thank you. Good to know you. You're a sweet man. Thank you for being on the show. And check out his podcast. He is. It's a good man and thorough from what I hear. I mean, I've heard that about him. Anyways, Travis, are you ready? Because we're going to dive into the film that you selected for this week. It's called Clockers, 1995 film. It's not really, it's not a scary movie. It's a drama, but it's not like the Disney Clockers.
Check out Clockers.
Good times almost.
What's gonna happen when a couple of crazy kids sell drugs on the street? Stay tuned for Clockers. No, Clockers is. Oh God, I'm sorry, folks. Okay. Clockers is a movie, but it's a very intense movie. 1995. Spike Lee directed. Has Spike Lee ever done a comedy? He's done comedies.
He has comedic moments. I can't think. I guess Bamboozled is probably
that one?
the most like straightforward comedy I can think of.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, so I don't know. Crooklyn, is that a comedy or no?
I've never seen Crooklyn.
Neither have I.
I've never seen Crooklyn. I believe it's kind of a comedy. Yeah, I think it seems. I think it's got a little bit more of a light.
Better Blues. Better Blues. There's comedy. Anyways, I'm sure he knows how to make people laugh.
Yeah, usually dramas, but yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple jokes in 25th Hour. At any rate, this is Clockers, 1995. Spike Lee directed. A big cast. Harvey Keitel, Mekhi Phifer leading the way. And there are some heavy hitters. Delroy Lindo. It goes on and on and on. Travis, you chose this movie, so please take us back in time.
So I remember when this movie came out, like in 95, I was a huge John Turturro fan, which is, again, like I was 15 when I was all about John Turturro at like 14, 15 years old. I'm not really sure. I remember like I was a big fan of Men of Respect for some reason. Speaking of Dennis Farina, I think it was Barton Fink that really pushed me over the edge. But so I was pretty eager to watch this movie when it came out, and I don't remember if I saw this or Get Shorty first, but I feel like I'd seen Get Shorty before I saw this because I think I was excited about Delroy Lindo at the time.
Same year.
Yeah, it was the same year. And I believe I even saw it in theaters, and it was one that I watched it a lot with I remember watching it with Andrew Johnson. I don't know if you guys remember this friend of ours. I remember watching it with him at his house, I think. And I really liked it. And it's one I watched quite a few times. And then it's easily been 20 years or more probably since I've watched it. But it's one that I held in the back of my head as being like among the good Spike Lee movies, but people don't talk about it as much. You don't really hear it come up in conversation the way you hear about some other of his films. So I thought it'd be a fun one a way to bring him onto the show because we haven't done him yet.
Well, certainly overdue, no doubt about it. Eric Branstrom, take us back. You did not see this in the theaters. No offense. I don't know if that is offensive.
You know what, Mike? I didn't catch it in theaters. And I got to tell you, the first time I saw it was this morning. Travis would recommend this like every day to me when we worked at Blockbuster.
I thought you'd seen it.
No, I'd never seen this. I was thinking of something else. Like I'd never seen the film. Like every day you'd be like, rent it. And I'd be like, I'll get around to it. Never bothered to see it, sadly.
Wow, like every other movie I recommended to you in the 90s.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
true.
So that's there's a trend.
Sorry. Well, I'll never forget your Red Dogs recommendation.
The only one you ever checked out.
The only one. I'm coming in fresh, man.
So am I, dude. I never saw this movie either. I can take myself back to 95 with the commercials and clockers. It didn't sell itself well at all for some reason. To me, as a 15-year-old white suburban dude, which I don't know what that says about me, what it says about the marketing. Could say a lot of things, frankly. Either way, I just wasn't motivated to see it in any way, and it never came through my purview either. So,
well,
I think it would have been easy for them to market this, like, Don't Be a Menace or Boys in the Hood or something like that, which all were doing pretty well around the time. But, and this is kind of in the wheelhouse of those movies, but, we're dealing with Spike Lee here. He's got a lot more straightforward, I think, moral messaging that he's making with this movie that wouldn't make it like appeal to teenagers necessarily.
One of the reasons Spike made the film is to kind of put a, no pun intended here, but put a nail in the coffin of all of these like inner street black versus black crime movies. And if he had a hand in the marketing, I bet you any bottom dollar, he shied away from those comparisons to not.
Yeah, and it suffered in the box office. I mean, it didn't make the money back that was spent on it, but it was critically well received.
I feel like Harvey Keitel was marketed too much for this movie. That's how I remember it being younger. Like, he's overly marketed. Like, there's way more going on than that. But whatever. That's the 90s. What can I do?
I think this was. I didn't check. Is this Mekhi Phifer's first movie? I feel like it is.
I'm very confident that it is.
Yeah. So that was part of it. Like he's the main guy. Delroy Lindo does amazing work here, but he was not quite at the point where you could advertise with him very easily. Even John Turturro wasn't much of a name.
Mekhi Phifer was on ER, but it might have been after this. So and ER was huge back then. So.
I think it was after. So really, Harvey Keitel still fresh, like after his Reservoir kind of Reservoir Dogs resurgence, he was the biggest selling point in this movie.
And he's coming off of Bad Lieutenant, which was
Pulp Fiction was a year before. I mean, it's not that far away.
Yeah.
I think people that found that film distasteful were kind of like, he's a cop again. I'm gonna skip it.
Which there's some heavy Bad Lieutenant vibes with his character throughout this movie. It's like that character diet, but there's still a lot of that going on, particularly at the end of the film.
Well, I didn't mean to. I looked at it, so I know the score on IMDb. Does anyone else not look at it?
I looked at it too on accident.
I didn't.
Bob
but I'm gonna
Saget.
say, I think it was maybe 6.5, 6.6.
Was it 6.9?
That's right, Travis. 6.9.
Yeah.
Which is just under 7, which is a legit film. So it's a solid score. Nobody should be, no one should be writing letters to the editor and say, "Oh, I cannot believe." It's not a terrible score in my opinion.
The corporate heads of IMDb. I've got something to say to you.
I don't know who runs. I don't even know who founded it. You don't hear much about who founded IMDb. Who was it? You hear every founder of these things. I don't know who it is.
Figures, shadowy, behind the scenes in smoky rooms.
Like movie psychos? I don't know. I'd be curious to know that. Side note, if anyone knows, email the show, cinnamon9pod@protonmail.com. We hate emails, but we do like information. All right. Over on Rotten Tomatoes, Clockers has a 71 from the critics.
It's not bad. It's not great.
74 from the audience. Very tight. Very, very tight. That's a good balance. A little bit lower than I would have thought from the critics, to be honest, based on what you were saying too, Travis. So,
I think the Metacritic score is higher.
Ooh,
I want to say.
Maybe we should start incorporating Metacritic. Maybe I made a huge mistake. I apologize.
I could be pulling that out of my butthole. Hang on.
How's your butthole?
71 on Metascore as well.
Yay! All right. Michael Wilmington from the Chicago Tribune says, in many ways, it's better than the book it's taken from. It was a book, folks, by the way.
Yep.
Tighter, taughter, with a deeper vein of sadness opening underneath. I didn't read the books. Anybody read the book?
Nope. I did do some. I mean, I'd like to talk about Richard Price when we get done with the reviews, though.
You guys laughed at that? Why did you laugh?
It's hilarious. Dick Price.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool.
Oh,
That's
you
funny.
just
Great.
yelled like Dick Price. So.
That's right.
Right. That's the kind of show we have, guys.
Our
We're not
humor
gonna-
is puerile. What do you want?
I support it. I do. I'm glad. I didn't know anybody would laugh. Thanks, guys. That's very nice of you.
You're a funny man.
Thank you. Eleanor Ringel Cater from Film Scouts says Lee's movie feels like a 2-hour public service announcement on the evils of drugs, bad cops, and black on black violence.
Oh, what about what was that one name? Snoofle Cunts or Snoofle Coots or
Goody Coons.
Goody Coons?
Yeah.
What's Mr. Goody Coons got to say on this?
Ever since we brought Goody Coons in, I've been looking for him every week. It's tough to find. Might
I
have
don't care
been
what
a
he has to say, I
one-off.
just want to say his name.
This is only a review.
No one remembers his first name. It's just Goody Coons.
Goody Coons, Mr. Goody Coons.
But that was a negative review, by the way. That's a splat.
I was thinking Goody Coons. I wasn't paying.
Yeah. Well, it's a PSA. I think it's a little more than that, but we'll talk about that. Peter Travers says Clockers thunders home with the bruising urgency of a story that needs to be told.
Okay.
Very, very direct. And the great Roger Ebert, who was alive at this time, said, although Clockers is, as I suggested, a murder mystery, in solving its murder, it doesn't even begin to find a solution to the system that led to the murder. That is the point.
I was going to say, that's the whole point. Okay, good. I'm glad
He took care of it for you. No Desson Thompson. Yeah, no Desson. Pretty minimal. Only 3 pages of reviews, so not a ton of reviews on this one, but
right.
So there you go. There's a smattering. So PSA though, what about the PSA comment? You guys have anything?
I mean, the movie is very clearly trying to make a message. Like it is a message movie, right? Like it's not subtle in that. The movie starts with, it's just black violence, right? It's black bodies bleeding in gutters.
Whoa,
like,
yes,
dude.
it's
Hardcore.
That blew my mind. I'm so glad. I'm glad. If I would have forgot to mention that, I would have been so pissed. That was fucking intense. That's like real. Those look like he went to the police and said, "Hey, can I have some real photos of actual murders?"
I'm pretty sure it's. Were they?
And yeah, they're real.
They are.
I was hoping they weren't. Fuck.
Yeah, they're real.
Oh, I thought it was too real because it's
it's very
95
realistic.
too. You know,
Yeah.
he zooms out of a bullet hole. That's how the movie starts. You don't know it's a bullet hole of a body. That's how the movie starts.
It's funny because you have that such a provocative, evocative montage in the credits, and then this like mustard and ketchup font Clockers title comes on the screen. Like,
The 90s, man. Come on.
I do like the song written by a guy named Mark Dorsey
Yes.
for that
really good.
opening
Fucking
song
fantastic.
called "People in Search of a Life." Very Stevie Wonder influenced. I thought it was really good.
That's why I thought it was Stevie Wonder without looking it up.
I had to look it up. Yeah, because I thought it was Stevie. I'm like, I don't know this song, but
I definitely
because it
noticed
was
like
him.
I like this song.
Yeah, it was good. I do have some major issues with some musical choices throughout the movie, frankly, but I really liked that opening song.
Cool. Can we hear it? Let's don't do the Brancham preview. Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, do we need 3 Seal songs? I mean, I mean that's coming
Acoustic too.
That's coming from someone who likes Seal.
Yeah,
Kind of.
love crazy.
They're the downtrodden acoustic. Like they're not the pop song. Crazy's in there, but it's an acoustic.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was cool, but I the biggest I don't think it worked for the scene. Like it's like it was too loud and it didn't really fit the vibe of the scene. Like the ending song, like when not to get into the ending too early, but like the ending when he's like leaving and stuff. There's all this emotional stuff going. Like or when he's being beat up by Keith David, Andre the Giant, when he's being beat up by him. It's like this fucking kind of like upbeat R&B song. Like I'm like, what is this choice here? But anything's better than the same old shit from Terrence Blanchard, who I frankly is one of my least favorite composers I've mentioned on the show.
Did he compose this?
He did compose this. That's why it sounds like every other Spike Lee movie. I mean,
my
like
biggest issue is Blanchard's work on this. And I think that's where the PSA after school special comments probably come into play, because literally every time like they go from a scene that doesn't involve Mekhi Phifer to Mekhi Phifer, this after school special droning dumb score comes in. It's like, okay, I
Never Ending Horn
myself. Thank you.
Never Ending Horn. It's always
Never
so overworked.
What's that Family Guy? You ever see that Family Guy scene where it's the Goodfellas trumpet? It's so funny. Find it somewhere. You'll laugh. Trust me. It's the way too loud horn in like a Goodfellas Paul Sorvino scene. It's really funny. But in this movie, it reminded me of 25th Hour and it reminded me of Inside Man. I'm like, this almost sounds like the exact same score.
It does. It's the same score. He uses the same score
odd choice.
over and over again. That's what's it's one of my many complaints about Terrence Blanchard. I love Spike Lee, but and Blanchard was nominated last year for
Five Bloods?
For the Five Bloods, which it was one of his better scores, but still, I still complained about it when I saw that movie because I'm like, fuck, again. Like, just pick up I mean, I like filmmakers that use the same crew over and over again, but I like it when they work together. I've never personally felt like Blanchard has worked with Spike Lee's music with his films. It's always just so overwrought and like,
smothering.
I thought, Eric, you said you felt the Blanchard score parts were like a PSA to you, but to me, it was when like the Seal stuff was on, it felt PSA.
I like that stuff. Like to me, I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint. I thought it was kind of a brave choice for him to not slap something on that was too typical. So I liked a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I lose one of the Seal songs, but like when he meets up with Arrow that first time, the "Give Me $50" scene and Crazy's playing. I mean, you listen to the lyrics. We got to survive somehow. It's perfect in this cool kind of jazzy. This is their life kind of way.
And I do like. I mean, the movie starts with like the first conversation really in the film is like discussion over like rap music, right? Like realistic kind of negative rap that reflects daily life, or rap that's like positive and uplifting.
Absolutely.
But there's really not a lot of rap in the film.
No, he intersplices these videos like when they're at the bar. Like
the bomb,
ass and titties, and the beer, the 40,
the 40 shaped like a nuclear bomb.
The girl's
the
like,
bomb.
I love the bomb.
Did you get thirsty for one of the bombs when you were watching it?
What is going on with the bomb? Is it his red apple? Like what's he trying to do here?
Reminded me of Bobcat Ice when I went down to Florida in 2001. That's what I thought.
King Cobra.
Yeah,
King Cobra.
But I'll tell you that. He interspliced it like he's setting up a message, but then he abandons that basically completely. It seems like a weird choice.
There's like this really like focus on this commercial, and then like a billboard later, and then Chucky.
Oh, which inside the train set? Yeah, that's in the real world, and it's in the train set.
No, I didn't notice it in the train set.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then Chucky, he's playing Chucky again, right? I feel like he's played this character before at Spike Lee. Am I right? Like that's right. That's like a regular thing that he does. Am I wrong? I mean,
that's it. I mean, he plays Mars, and then he plays Chucky. Yeah, that's the thing.
So and he's drinking the bomb like at the end of the movie. But I think the point of it is that like what's being marketed to black communities, beer, booze.
You nailed it.
This it's like fast food or booze, not healthy.
Specifically cheap 40s of beer that you can maybe afford. It's just,
I think that's the point.
Exploited.
Well, I found that to be like a double whammy with the drugs and the fast food being sold in the same place. It's shitty food, drugs. It's like to me the same thing. And I thought that was kind of on purpose. I didn't read the book though, so I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Dick Price.
Yeah, let's talk about Dick Price for a minute. Showrunner of HBO's The Outsider and one of the main writers of The Wire.
Yeah.
A white man.
Oh my God. I thought of The Wire when I was watching this. That's so weird.
Well, it makes sense because he wrote a bunch of episodes for The Wire, and there's some people that think that his book and or the movie kind of helped inspire The Wire. And it's there, and like you have interactions between the police and like criminals, and they're on equal footing, and morality is unclear. In fact, the police in this film are significantly worse people than the people locked.
I don't know who the fuck Imperioli's character was. Was he I couldn't tell if he was actually a detective or a drug dealer or he worked for the mob. I'm not.
He was a corrupt cop. He was a corrupt cop.
I struggled to figure it out in the beginning. Though I'm like, what are you doing here? Who are you?
Yeah,
eventually, when he's sitting with Keitel and he says he's going to hand him Roddy on a plate, that's when I finally figured it out. But I didn't know right away.
He's a narcotics detective. And so he's corrupt as hell. Which while we're talking about Michael Imperioli, I'd like to mention real quick. One of the things I enjoy, I've mentioned on the show, I've been going through The Sopranos again, and like every time I watch a New York movie from the '90s, it's just like stuffed. Like it's Michael Imperioli, obviously, who plays Christopher Moltisanti, but then also like two of the other detectives in the film. Like you see him for a hot second. You see Paul Schulze, who plays Father Intantola on Sopranos, and you see Arthur Nascarella, who plays Carlo, one of the captains.
The father who takes advantage of women for their food.
Yeah. You think I'm a schnorrer, don't you? That guy. And they both. It's so funny. Like every time I watch a '90s movie from New York, it's like there's Vincent Pastor, or like somebody. You know, it's like always it's fun.
Well, I thought it was The Wire. To me, I got The Wire vibe because of the way the drug buy was so well done. It was just like The Wire with you got the yard, they're on the benches here, this open courtyard, if you will, and then the first time they show it to you, Spike Lee is very directly with the camera work.
Yeah, the mechanics of it.
Yeah, every single shot. That guy walks up, it's a white dude, and you're like, hey, what's up? They do the thing, and then they hit the guy in the house. Another guy gets notified, and there's like all these hand signals, and that's what reminded me, like, dude, this is as good as like real life drug activity as The Wire. That's why I thought it was
very procedural. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm a Dick Price, almost a super fan, because he wrote Color of Money, and that's one of my one of my top 10 favorite movies. And he also wrote Mad Dog and Glory, which I think is a really underrated movie from the 90s. But we're talking about a Ivy League, like middle-aged Jewish dude from, I guess he grew up in a housing project, but is this the like, I'd be interested to see what the book and then what Spike Lee brought to that after he took it over and penned the script.
Well, a cursory glance at the Wikipedia article, anyway, since I didn't read the book, says that like the film is a lot more based on emotion than the procedure, which makes sense, and that's probably like, it's a good thing you got Spike Lee directing this and not like, I don't know, fucking Harmony Korine or something. Like
Scorsese's name's on the executive producer, so that's something we should mention. He
was actually originally supposed to direct.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he did not. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I'm glad.
Producer, but he didn't go to the set or anything. He just kind of passed it along to Spike Lee and took the executive producer credit. But it would have been a completely different film, especially considering the book takes place from Rocco's point of view, from what I understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because De Niro was going to play Rocco, and Spike Lee. And made Strike the main protagonist,
which is a really important and good call. If you made this movie about basically if this was Bad Lieutenant again, it would not be good. Like, this movie wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't work. The fact that you have sympathy for Strike's character and for Victor's character, which I'm not the biggest fan of some of the things that Isaiah Washington has done and said in his life, but my God, he's fucking great in this.
He's fantastic.
Has he said some things I don't know about in his life?
Yeah, he's had a couple occasions of some really like overtly homophobic comments that he was like unapologetic about. But
like the baby, that's too bad.
Yeah, but man, I mean, like, just I think his performance of the movie is him. Like, maybe Delroy Lindo kind of second, but Isaiah Washington is incredible in this movie.
Fantastic. That scene, the flashback.
When he's puking. Yeah, it's gut wrenching. But everything he does is just solid gold in this film. It's really, really powerful.
Why is the flashback gut wrenching though?
Oh my God!
I mean, just him going through, like, him acknowledging, like, him admitting that he's a murderer, him dealing with the guilt of, I just shot a man for fucking no real reason.
In a inner city film. I mean, we can talk forever about Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, but to have a scene like this where there's this genuine, like, raw emotion from someone who took a life, and that's one of my favorite parts about this movie is the fact that it once again de-glamorizes this criminal base in this like Scarface horse shit of these people being idolized. Good riddance.
Absolutely. Rodney Delroy Lindo's character is a fucking chicken hawk. He talks about how he wants an army. He dreams of an army of children. Like, he's a chicken hawk. He's taken Strike under his wing and is raising him to be a chicken hawk because
he's his sword, dude.
Right, he's gonna and Strike is turning around and gonna turn Tyrone into one of his little minions, and it's like, and it's nothing glamorous about this. There's nothing cool about this.
Yeah, none of the characters are cool at all. Strike doesn't get a bunch of money and have like a night on the town or get like the hottest woman in the area. It's all thrown out. This is just a guy trying to fucking survive.
And I love when
does this look glamorous back here? I don't think it looks very glamorous.
It does not. I love when Michael Imperioli's character Jojo just refuses to believe that Strike doesn't like basketball. Like, just doesn't accept it.
He said he was dunking since he was a baby. Yeah, and he refuses to believe that he can't dunk a basketball because
like, I like trains.
He's black.
That's my thing. I like
Good
trains.
Lord. And what?
Go ahead.
What about I wasn't familiar with this. It's a racial slur, the Y word they're using?
Yeah, I'd never heard that one before.
The guy takes offense to it. The other narcotics or homicide officer.
I like that scene because they're like very, like, the cops are very casually like using racist slurs like in front of a black dude, like it's no big deal. And it's finally like, what the
He even
fuck
said,
you
no,
guys doing?
Turturro's character said, well, no. One of them says, well,
Oh, yeah,
no
yeah,
offense
yeah, he
to him,
does.
and then
Yeah, he does.
continues to do it. And then he's like, dude, I've had enough. Come on, cut the shit.
Right.
But, and what?
Go ahead.
No, please, you go.
Well, that's one of the things I like about. I mean, like when the cops are introduced, Harvey Keitel and John Turturro's character, they come onto the scene. Like there's a bicycle, a young black child on a bicycle moving one way, and then he's superseded in the frame by the slow moving black sedan. They come in and they are they litter. All right. So one of the first things that they do is like the cops are littering. They come and they are like making fun of the body.
They're drinking too, by the way.
They're drinking. Yeah, they're drinking. That's what I was meant to say. They're drinking on the job and throwing the bottles, and they're using racist slurs left and right. Like they're well established early on. Like these are bad people. They're just bad people.
Well, they're bad people. They're jaded as fuck too. I mean, I could say yes, they definitely are bad people, but they've also been corrupted by the work they do because it's becomes. I think that's the point of Spike Lee's points is that these guys become corrupted because they're jaded by seeing a body every night and they think it's commonplace now. Let's make fun of a guy. He's got a bullet.
Yeah, you're
too.
right. Because Rocco's so fucking jaded, in fact, that like he will not accept the truth. That he will pursue and ruin and almost have a man killed, ruin someone's life because he's convinced that the clocker, that he's the one responsible and not the upstanding citizen Victor.
I mean, you can't go to work every day and see that kind of horror without substituting your emotions and having kind of a defense mechanism in lieu of just seeing these fucking dead bodies. I'm not going to forgive these horrific jokes, but I knew a cop who straight up told me that every day it's like going to war every day. So you have to change your mindset. And I'm not going to sit here and say these are all horrible people, these cops. They're part of it's a symbiote relationship. Yes. It goes both ways. I mean,
they're part of a system that's not working, right? Like they're not terrible people, but they're not the right people for that job in that place and time.
That's how I see it. It's happening right now in Detroit, right outside of us here. It's people who are exhausted by a job, and the mental health toll is so great that there's no support for it, and it creates a world. You know, I'm not a pro-police guy by any means, but these are human beings, and we ask them to do this job. We say, you don't get paid shit, and we're going to work you to the bone, and fuck you. It's pretty, and you know, that's pretty much what it is. It's not an excuse for behavior, but we have to understand the mental health toll that both of these guys, Turturro and Keitel's character, they don't even realize it. That's the worst part. Don't realize
that they're
what
overworked.
they've become.
Yeah,
that they're overworked and that they've become completely jaded by it. And to see a dead body is a horrific thing, and that's what this movie said. You guys already said that it really makes a great point about this is not a glamorous lifestyle, and to see a murdered body, a human being. The one that shocked me the most of the pictures in the beginning was the body in the dumpster, kind of thrown over. Like that's a human being.
And this is almost think about Rocco's arc, this investigation, what he goes through, what he sacrifices, what he commits to, and the very next day there's the same goddamn thing laying on the street.
Another stain on the sidewalk on this flagpole, which is like central to the Nelson Mandela projects, right? And like the movie really kind of operates around this flagpole, like stone center. I love the way that works, structurally speaking.
Let me ask you guys something. And I know we're in 2021. I do get that. That's why we're doing Does It Hold Up? Clockers, 1995. Spike Lee would know better than anybody. He did do the right thing. He set the tone for his career and changing the game of mainstream movie making. But I actually think that the New York cops are more corrupt than we're actually shown in this movie. They're obviously not great guys and they've got issues. I thought it could have gone farther than it did in a way. And my point here is that I wonder if they had to be toned down in any way. I wonder what kind of studio control was involved with this, how much free reign Spike Lee actually had or didn't have. I wonder about that, but I wonder if that crossed either of you guys' minds.
For me, it didn't. And then you look at a movie like Colors, which I think is a really provocative film, like 10 years before that is pretty much the last word on police corruption. So I didn't hear anything about any sanitization of these characters, but I'd be interested in Your thoughts?
Or if you'd want to see them be, if you thought it was an accurate representation of the time. That's
I don't know.
Also the other point of this.
Yeah, who knows?
Because this is one of the most corrupt police forces in the fucking world.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, in the mid '90s, even, but yeah, I don't know how much cleaning up is being done here. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it, but we also don't delve too deeply into there's a lot of cops shown to us, but we really only get kind of three,
That's
Michael
my point. I think you're hitting on the point that I would like to see. That's not what this movie's about necessarily, but it kind of is.
Well, but the same token, I wouldn't have minded a little bit more of scientific. One of the other characters, one of the drug dealers that works for Strike. So I think that but also this movie's a little over 2 hours long, and they do a lot with it. There's a big world built here. You get a real sense of history, like with Keith David's character, for instance. You get this is a man with his finger in the dam. This is someone who works in the community, who cares about the community, who lives in the community, and befriends and tries to mentor people as a cop, right? And he's trying to have a positive influence in his community. And then you have these other cops, these white cops, blowing in and roughing everybody up, violating people. Spread your butt cheeks, lift your ball checks, literally like violating people. And
actually, that was a good point. Yeah.
And after they're done violating people, they throw candy on the ground for children to have, they're a fucking war, and they're trying to have some fucking positive feelings about us.
Right.
That was the one scene where it was done well. And it was in the beginning too. Yeah, those assholes when they come in and spread your butt cheeks, slap your ball bag, fucking scumbags. That's the New York Police Department, I believe. So that was,
yeah,
give the movie credit for that. I don't want to leave that out. That
Mike,
was done.
This is a pre-body cam NYPD, and it was anything goes. I mean, my word against yours. So I think things have changed exponentially. I can't talk about exactly what happened in '95 in New York.
Well, this is 6 years after the Central Park 5.
Yeah.
Too. So, which wasn't a thing back then. They were looked at as criminals. We know that now. Clearly, it was not the case. But Eric, you were gone for a second. Travis mentioned the 2 hour plus runtime. 2 hour 8 minutes, I believe, is the runtime in this. I'm going to come clean here. It's time to talk turkey. I got a little bit kind of a drag ass feeling at about an hour 10, hour 15. I'm like, how many times is Harvey Keitel going to go back to Strike and talk to him? How many business cards is he going to give him? And I'm like, okay, I know this part. He's going to have this banter, and he's going to try to get a little more information each time. And it happened to, I guess that's realistic. That's kind of how it would go. But at the same time, I was kind of like, all right, as a movie making choice, it dragged a little bit for me.
Yeah, it does. There's a bit of a slump there. I'll acknowledge that. But as far as him coming back and forth, I find it interesting that he learns all this stuff about Strike lying to him on the first fucking day. At the first blush, he's he talks to other people and figures out that Daryl is a drug dealer, that he worked with him at Rodney's. He knows all this stuff, and he just keeps on revisiting him and not letting him know that he knows that. But the thing that ultimately he's doing is his plan B, which he ends up going with, which is making it look like Strike is working with him to try and bully Strike into a situation where he'll either be murdered or forced into snitching.
Right.
Which is so devious and horrific.
The slump I can maybe blame on what may not entirely be a passive protagonist, but we do have someone in Strike that either does nothing or has stuff done for him. He's just, when all is said and done, what's he gonna do? He's a victim of this environment, but
that's part of the point.
He doesn't go out and try to get to the fucking bottom of what's going on to get his brother out of jail. He doesn't really do anything much to support Tyrone, and he doesn't really do that much for himself and his own.
He's not a great guy. He's not a great guy. He lies to his brother in the beginning of the movie, who he knows his brother's a guy who's on the up and up and not a murderer. And he lies to him in the beginning of the movie, trying to provoke him into killing someone for him. And then the way he treats Tyrone is awful. It's awful. He's not a good person.
So that's
especially since he had the example given to him by Andre growing up initially too. It almost makes it worse. It does make it worse,
right? Because he could have he's influenced by Andre and by Rodney, and he went Rodney's route.
I mean, influence is one of the themes that make me want to watch this movie again as soon as possible, because Spike Lee is not, he's not trying to, like the reviewer said, solve this issue. I think he may be trying to investigate a way to maybe, prevent it or help people understand it.
Yeah, shine a light on it. Right.
And it comes from this faux bullshit mentorship, which, just because it happened to me, it's destined to happen to you. There's no way out of this system if you don't get out of that bullshit mindset.
Well, yeah. Give the movie credit too for also the crack scene where Delroy Lindo explains how his product will never run out. This is 95,
God, yeah.
Crack's been through the 80s too, and this is I believe it's a year after, Travis, you can verify this, I think, when they passed the the 3 strikes or like no bullshit crime law across the country. It was in 94, I think. The one that Hillary Clinton got shit on for calling people
she never actually said that, I don't think. But I know you're talking about.
Well, whatever. It was all, the whole thing happened, and people's lives were greatly affected by the changing, and we got to lock down on drug use, we got to put these people in jail. And Delroy Lindo makes a great point about the dialogue is so well done there, whether it was Dick Price's or it was redone, repurposed. Either way, it's a great
Spike Lee co-wrote.
Oh yeah, so Spike Lee absolutely mixed this in. It's a product that it'll never run out. It's a perfect product, and you're going to be 6 feet under. That's the only time you're going to stop trying to cop. And it's so very true. And then it goes into this whole montage while he's playing with his trains in his apartment. There's a montage of several different types of all kinds of people, by the way. Credit to Spike Lee. He's showing all types of cultural backgrounds coming through for crack. And I thought that was really refreshing because, let's be honest, the crack epidemic, it absolutely devastated urban communities and African-American communities. But there was other people using crack too. And I want to give Spike Lee credit for that.
Yeah, agreed. And I also like as far as mentorship and crack goes, like it shows for one, it shows like just how horrific a person Rodney is, because like he acknowledges the way it destroys people, and he loves that.
Yes,
it makes him great like reusing, like repurchasers. But also the scene like where
so good.
Strike is mentoring Rodney and like showing him how to cut it up and like telling him never to fucking take it or he shoot him. Don't skip school or I'll shoot you. And like, oh God. But I also like that, like at the end of
Tyler, right? Tyrone. Tyrone. Okay. You said Rodney again. Sorry, I just want to make sure people know.
I meant, Strike. Well, Strike, whose real name is Ronnie. Like, I'm sorry if you like this goes on. If you have a character named Rodney, don't have a character named Ronnie. If you have a character named Daryl, don't have a character named Errol. That's stupid.
It really bothered me too. Yeah. It's like, what's going on here?
Just call him Mike or Jeff or something. Anyways. I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, I mean, the whole symbolism of the train is speaks volumes for me. And I mean, I'm sorry, but I think in the long run, Strike probably did some good for Tyrone, but Tyrone is going to be in the same situation as Strike in 10 years. It's like the train itself. I mean, it just goes round and round. I mean, it never goes straight. It never leaves the track. It just is cyclical.
Okay.
And
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
go ahead.
It's interesting. I don't know if it's on purpose, but I think there's a beauty in that.
I think it's definitely on purpose. I think you make two really good points. Like one was one of the point I was trying to get to, that he does have a positive influence on Tyrone, because Tyrone ends up being into trains while everybody else is out in the street. It shows him at the end of the movie. People are, they're out like looking at death and drugs and shit. He's playing with his trains and like clearly falling in love with trains and the history of trains and that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. But also but you're right. Like, even if he is saved, like what if he ends up like Victor? Like, it's not just the fucking crushing system of the ghetto and like all of that shit and like racial like pressures and all this stuff. There's also like the pressures of poverty and like Victor is an honest man in hell. Like he works these 2 jobs and he gets spit on and he gets treated like shit, no matter how polite and kind and good and wholesome he truly is. Like, he just cannot get ahead. He works to the point that he cannot stand the sound of his own child. Like, that's how overworked this man is. And that's what you have to do in many corners of this of this country and this world, just to make it day to day. And he eventually snaps and kills a man for fucking nothing because of it. So it is. I mean, maybe it's a pretty bleak film in its way too.
Yeah. Let's. Oh, go ahead. You have something to say, sir.
Well, I think this film does what a lot of films about the inner city try to do, which is tell the viewer that, yes, some of these people, I mean, it sucks to say, but a lot of them, if not even most of them, the best that they can hope for is to be like the Regina King character, played beautifully by
Regina Taylor.
Regina Taylor. I'm sorry, my bad.
You're fired.
You're not going to go to college. You're not going to be anybody or anything. You really don't have any future. So why believe in yourself, or why try to get out? This is just life. I mean, it sucks to think about or even say, but this is how it is. So a lot of these people have acclimated to it in the film, and you don't have this saccharine message about hope. And I mean, it doesn't seem like a sad film to me, even considering those opinions.
Okay. By the way, Travis, did you enjoy the Marvel reference? You definitely know this was co-written by Spike Lee.
Travis said that.
Spider-Man. Hey, Harvey Keitel's going off. I'm Spider-Man character. I'm fucking. I thought you might like that moment. So
yeah, it's okay.
You know, Spike Lee loves comics. That's true. We all know that. Well, can we talk about the misdirection of this movie though before we close out? God, time is flying by because we really need to dive into this. The way the movie's structured for us puts us and reveals biases from every person who watches it. In my opinion, I was pretty convinced of a few things that didn't end up necessarily being true here because they don't show you. They want you. Spike Lee wanted to do that. Obviously, very obvious intent.
You thought Victor was innocent and that Strike was the killer. Is that what you're saying?
It seemed pretty clear to me, at least the way it was being presented, that that's what was going down.
Yeah, I think
because
it's really
it seemed
cool.
procedural in the way it was created too. Or this is also the 90s, so I'm like, oh yeah, he fucking did it. But now when Tyler kills Rodney's partner, that was like, okay, so this is like the cyclical message you're sharing me here that he killed and then he killed and so on. So that really sealed it for me. That was what sealed it.
While you bring up the character of Errol Barnes, played by Thomas Jefferson Byrd, this is a film that's trying to drive home that Black lives are falling victim to gun violence at like an exorbitant rate, and it's not fucking entertaining, right? And 30 or 25 years after the film is recorded, Thomas Jefferson Byrd shot to death in the back last October. That's tragic, man. And the man that shot him is arrested, but like that one of the star players from this film could fall victim to gun violence. It speaks ironic and sad volumes.
Right.
Yeah. True. Nothing else to say about that.
Yeah.
But what about the misdirection? Come on. What about that? Let's go back to that. So anybody else?
Well, I mean, so one of the things I think that I can kind of glean from the book, from not reading it, but from looking stuff up on it, it looks like in the book, it's clear that Strike is surprised that Daryl is dead. But that he doesn't know who killed him either. So like that, I think it's a good call. If that is in fact the case, like, again, I haven't read it, but the way that Spike structured this was the right call. I think it's good to make the viewer take it, like, to be on Rocco's side and think that what Rocco's doing is maybe a little bit justified when it's not, because Rocco's so fucking jaded, as we said earlier, that like he thinks that his veteran status makes him like infallible and he's willing to do whatever.
What's weird about that is he really like defends Victor a lot, though. He's like he's also going out of his way to defend Victor as this upstanding dude. He wants to help him in a way because he thinks he's good.
The way he does Tyrone, because Tyrone is, he's a young kid. He's like a smart kid. He's being vouched for by Andre. Like he wants there to be like, positive stories coming out of this project. And so, because it's all based in the same project, he wants there to be like, success coming out of there. But like, he doesn't, but at the same time, he doesn't really believe it's possible.
And I love how he doesn't come out. I like this character, Rocco, the way it's written, because you have him written as if he has these like hunches as a cop. And he's doing this because something's bugging him. It's not necessarily because he wants justice for Victor. Something doesn't sit right. And any good detective is going to try to figure it out. So for me, I watched this ending where Strike is literally asking him, why are you helping us? I appreciate it, but why are you helping us? And he doesn't really answer him. And my fear is that he is thinking, well, I'm doing it because I had to solve this jigsaw puzzle, not necessarily because I gave a shit about your plight or your family. So it's interesting to me.
No, you're right. Like he's not, and it's not even like, why are you helping me? It's like, why did you care? Why did you care so much about all of this?
But he can't say.
He made that clear. He made that clear when he berates, when they have that standoff, him and Strike outside the police station the first time. I'm not going to be the patsy. You don't use me, I use you. And he was very,
in the movie.
Yeah, he made it very clear, in my opinion, what his motives were.
Well, I think that was his callousness and kind of an ego thing where he wasn't going to get told what have you by this kid, but
he carried it on.
Yeah, he carried it on.
When Rodney passes by, he's like, "Hey, good luck. Yeah, hey, you're gonna die now. Next, you're fucked."
Exactly. He's willing to have, like, he arranges it basically for this innocent person. A drug dealer, but still overall never killed anyone. Innocent person to be murdered by Rodney based on a fucking hunch, and that's pure ego, my friend. I mean, there's nothing but that. If you're gonna, you're like, you've literally got someone admitting to the crime, and you refuse to believe it because you think you know better.
Yeah, it's a power trip, ego driven. There's no doubt about it. And whether he did the one right thing at the end, it's still, he's back to the next dead body, and that ego's gonna take over again, and it will perpetuate itself.
Which again, like, gives a really interesting kind of almost inversion of Bad Lieutenant's ending, to get back to that. Because I mean, there is definitely some heavy, you've got him like dropping off the suspect he's been chasing through the whole movie, dropping him off at a train station, with very, very similar to the end of Bad Lieutenant.
Keitel likes the same script over and again.
The motivations are the motivations are different, but it's interesting.
Is Gangsta real? Can I play this game? It looks really fun.
Was that Sega system even real? I don't remember people walking around with like virtual fucking glasses and shit. I don't remember that at all.
I believe, kind of video game historian, part-time. It was a failed, absolute disaster attempt, but
Gangster,
I think he mixed. The Gangster's fake. That's not
Virtual
real.
Boy?
Right. He Virtual Boy. That was kind of, it was that red screen. It was fucking, God, it'd give you a headache. It'd drive you crazy. But yeah, I think they took a Sega Genesis controller, and then they took that shitty VR system that came out in the mid-90s and tried to connect the two. Gangsta's not a real game. I know that for sure.
But I think with Gangsta, he's doing the same thing that he's doing with Da Bomb. Like,
gotcha.
Glamorization.
That was used many times. Gotcha.
Right.
They were doing that joke in the beginning of the movie too. Got ya.
And did you pay attention to the game? Like it literally is the scene where Tyrone kills Errol.
Yeah, you're right.
Playing it, it's the same thing that happened.
And the characters look a lot like in the beginning when we're seeing all of this bloody violence. You also see these graffiti characters that are like, gangster looking cool, kind of like characters, and the game looks kind of like those people too. So there's definitely some comments being made here about like what's being marketed.
Yeah, it never got released. It was the Sega VR.
Oh, Sega VR. Okay.
Oh, he probably got access to it before, thinking it was going to become a big thing, and then he just looks like he's the only motherfucker in the project or in the world who's got this thing.
San Andreas came out, same fucking thing as Gangster.
We look at it in 2021. We're like, what the fuck is that thing? I don't remember that. We played every video game in the mid 90s. Anyways, anything else? Because we're getting to that point, guys. We're about there.
Oh boy.
I guess don't trust if your car is parked in front of a police station that it won't get kicked to shit and the doors ripped off of it. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna bring things back, just again a reiteration that like Delroy Lindo is fucking incredible in this. When he's grinning his way through Keitel and Turturro coming to arrest him, like he's so charming. He just smiles through all of this, and then like,
excuse me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like one fuck you from Strike, and he's like punching him in the stomach, which is brutal. Yeah, and then sticking his gun in his mouth, just like Errol did to him. Which the power dynamic shift between Errol and Rodney is interesting in and of its own right. But to get to like, we haven't really talked about Strike puking up blood and all this stuff, and I really feel like this is like a sickness untreated. That's maybe a heavy-handed metaphor, but
the
like
booze,
just this untreated illness. Like, what are you putting in, and what's coming out? Like, you're not taking care of yourself. This is a sickness that's just not being dealt with.
Yeah, close-ups of the chocolate mousse bottle several times.
Yeah,
are you talking about like a literal like they don't? I don't think they mentioned like ulcers or anything. But are you talking about a literal?
No, it's
they don't bother mention, or like the environmental.
Symbolism.
It's symbolism, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure.
His internal sickness is this whole movie's sickness in a smaller version of the bigger world. So.
Right.
Yeah, I see that. That's cool, but yeah, whatever. Fine. He's a movie maker. You got to get artsy. That's fun.
It's well done in a way. I mean, like, to the point that like he's like puking up blood, and like Rocco so doesn't fucking care about him that he watches him puke up blood for a while, cough up blood, and then he like watches him collapse and just drives off.
One of his crew members kicks him while he's down there.
Yeah, scientific.
What are you doing, man? Man, it'll just it's so well done that life is this complex and things just don't end like that, and everybody has their own opinions. That's pretty cool. I'll give that. I don't want to give away the ending here, but.
Now you're worried about spoilers at the end of our podcast?
No, I'm talking about my reveal here. Does it hold up? So.
Would you want to go ahead and go for it then?
Okay, sure, I will.
If you're feeling it.
Yeah, I guess I was. He's getting the shit kicked out of him by one guy for a second, and he's puking up blood. He's laying on the ground. He needs to go to the hospital. He does go to the hospital, while some of his other crew is like, all right, hey, chill out, man. And this is what happens. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody sees the world differently, and question though is, what are you gonna do, and what have you done? And you will be responsible for your actions in the end. Me. If I make the choices, I can have all the mentors, I can have all the friends, and I can learn a lot about. I can enjoy trains, but some of the other actions I've done, trains aren't going to change that. Even if I show another kid what trains are like and how cool they are, it might not have the impact I thought it would have initially. So I think Spike Lee, even though he's doing a big storytelling here about a massive problem in the culture, he's actually telling a story about like personal responsibility. Everybody, every one of them, we talked about it throughout. You guys did a really good job of that. The Rocco character, Strike character, and the Rodney character. These guys all are responsible for everything they've done, and they're going to have to be accountable sooner or later. You don't necessarily know when. So I'm really glad that you chose this movie. I should have watched it a long time ago. It's just another mistake in a long line of mistakes that I've made in my life. So this movie definitely holds up. It's an excellent movie. And in fact, I think it's even better now, knowing what we know about the world today, 26 years later. It certainly, in my view, raises like the value of this film. If it was not well done in the box office or the critics liked it, that's fine. But now it looks even more prescient and accurate.
All right. I'll go ahead and go next. One of the things I like about this movie is the way it like constantly subverts your expectations about these characters. Like, for instance, Victor's the one who's got it together. He's the smart one, right? He's the good one. Like, dude, have you ever fucking heard of a public defender? Why are you just telling on yourself as you're being interrogated this whole time? Like, why isn't there a lawyer present? And then, Strike gets picked up and he's immediately like, he's screaming like, lawyer. Like, Strike in a lot of ways is a smarter guy. When the point comes in the film that like he's getting ready to leave town, he realizes his gun's leaving. Like, I'm like, why don't you leave town tonight? And then I realize like he stays because he's got to see his sister-in-law to give money to get the bail money to his brother. So he does care about Victor to the point that he really puts his life on the line and wouldn't get out of there were it not for Tyrone, who he treats like shit. But Tyrone is, he ends up being a murderer. So like the way that this movie plays again with like the viewer's expectations and that kind of stuff, I think it's really, really brilliant. I think that there's some things like, I think it gets a little muddy to try and follow sometimes earlier on what's happening a little bit. Some of the dialogue is really expository and I miss some of it. I love the cinematography, Spike Lee's really leaning heavily into that whole feel that he's kind of known for. And he does that floaty walk thing only a couple times in this movie, and he does it really effectively. He doesn't overuse it like he does in so many other films. I really definitely feel like this movie holds up. I did not appreciate it when I was 15. I'm glad I liked it. I did not understand it. I took some of the wrong messages from it, I think. But I'm glad that I liked it so I could come back now and watch it again and get a lot more from it and really appreciate this underrated film.
Wow. Yeah, man. I'm glad you brought it to the table. I mean, Spike Lee is a filmmaker that I think we need to be very, very thankful for. Without like people like him or Black filmmakers like Ernest Dickerson or Carl Franklin or John Singleton, we're not likely to see stories get greenlit by Hollywood that gives us this environment, which the world demands that we learn about and educate ourselves about. Malcolm X says education's the passport to the future. So we need to be aware of what's going on and what we can do, even if it's just volunteering. I mean, yeah, post an article or post anything, but get out there and be a positive influence, because this is a cyclical hell portrayed beautifully in the film. Sometimes it gets a little prosaic, a little unfocused. We got a little goofiness by Spike Lee once in a blue moon, but overall, we got a glimpse of this way of life in a daring, original, entertaining, and way that that means something. I mean, how many movies fucking matter? I think this one definitely does. Holds up completely.
Spin it!
All right, we got three holds ups.
Yay!
Spun it.
Real quick question before we go. Donnie says, hey guys, a couple questions. Travis touched on the Clocker's book, but for other movies based on books, do you usually read the book or stick with just watching the movie? Both or just one? Why? I never read the book. If I happen to read the book, great, but I don't care to. I just watch the movie. That's what I do. And that's it. I don't really have any deep view on that.
I've hardly read fiction in over a decade, and I don't have the time to read a book in a week anymore. I used to do that all the time. I don't know how.
I specifically used to read the book before I'd see the movie. You know me, I'd read the screenplay before the movie came out, but I haven't done it in years and years and years.
And you want me to change? Fuck you!
People don't change, man.
So I would say, like, unless I read it when I was younger or something, it's pretty unlikely that I would have read the book of most movies. I'm definitely not one of those people that's like, oh, you got to read the book. I love Cloud Atlas. I'm probably never going to read that book.
That's the true right there.
The
No
true
doubt
true.
about it. Anytime someone brings up Cloud Atlas, I will fit in true. I promise you that.
really
That's
should.
the true. That is true.
True.
If we ever do Rising Sun, I did read that in 1994. So
Okay.
I read Sleepers. If we ever do Sleepers, I read Sleepers.
Wow.
I thought we did Sleepers already. Wow.
No, you guys just talked about it a lot.
Yeah,
It's an incredible.
She tied, give me raw, where to go, we go, hey, nay, hey, nay, no.
Jesus.
Ron Elder can actually act for a
Ron
minute.
Elder.
Amazing.
Sure you can.
Yeah.
Notes.
Okay.
All right. So who's picks next? Who picks next? Is it Eric?
What are we doing? Where are we?
What's
Yeah,
happening?
yeah, no kidding. I got next week's pick, and I've been, God damn it. For the past several days, I've juggling 4 or 5 movies. I can't make up my mind. I'm going to put this in your hands. We can go to 1985. We can go to 2000, or we can go to 2010. Ooh. But the fate lies in your hands.
I'm going to say
What do you think, Travis?
85 or 2010.
I'm thinking 2010. I like to see what you guys are thinking in more recent films, but we haven't been to the 80s.
We really haven't been. We've only done, I think, 2, maybe 3 movies from the 80s.
As long as it's not Goonies. If it's not Goonies, then
Goonies.
Okay, well, then, what do you
let's
say?
80s. Yeah, let's say 80s.
All right, let's do it.
The stars have aligned because, Mike, you're in a Bill Peterson vibe. It's unbelievable how many coincidences have popped up. But this has been on my radar for a long time. Bill Friedkin's To Live and Die in L.A. with Bill Peterson and Willem Dafoe.
Finally, a movie I haven't seen before. Out of 71 movies, this is the first time. Yes. Have you, Eric, Mike? Have you ever seen this movie?
I have not.
I do think it's funny that we just went to 1988 last week, but
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit! God
but it
damn
doesn't
it.
seem like we've been in the 80s a lot. But
We haven't. We
it's gonna be
haven't.
fun. I think you guys will like this.
I'm wondering what the 2010 movie was.
Yeah,
But
he'll
don't
save it
tell
for
me.
next time.
Yeah,
Save it
save.
for next time.
He will. He will. All right, cool. Well, hey, yeah, To Live and Die LA, Billy Friedkin,
Bill
1985.
All right, cool.
That's cool.
All right. I'll watch it and talk about it next week with you guys, along with some other movies.
I wonder, will this be? Yeah, that's very likely.
That's
I wonder
the
if this
plan.
would be a tough one to find. I'm not very familiar with the title at all.
Yeah, did you
so-
look and make sure it's available?
Well, either way, I started watching Clockers on. You ever go to these YouTube channels where they put the movie in like a smaller screen and they speed it up because they can't get a copyright issue for it?
Yeah.
I actually watched the
Speed it
first
up.
5 minutes of it. I'm like, God, I gotta
No, you
find this.
can't.
I can't do this. I can't do this.
You can't do that.
So I went and found it. So. Thank you, Clockers
All right.
people.
All right.
But yeah, all right. Well, that's it. Thanks for the Cinema 9 Pod. Good times. Oodle
Rest in
salad.
power. Rest in power, Thomas Jefferson Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did someone else die of note that we should? Oh,
I
that's
don't
it.
know.
I'm sure someone in the movies will die this year, and there'll be a in memoriam. And
I mean, people die every day. But we're talking about the clockers and
The Clockers.
I'm talking about everybody. Maybe clockers. Welcome back to Clockers.
Clockers will be right back after these messages. This is not the way to end the show. It's a
Yeah, I
very
was
serious
trying to,
movie. I want you guys to
Thomas
know.
Jefferson
Well, if you watch the list of the whole show, you know it. We already made it clear. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.
Drink the bomb.